Hi, good day, and welcome to my first video on how to solve quadratic simultaneous equations. All right, now a few things, right? To do this topic properly, you need to understand how to use the quadratic formula. So if you do not know how to use the quadratic formula, all you need to do is go on YouTube, type in iLoveLessons. That's the channel's name. It's one word, and don't forget this S here. And in the search bar, type in this and type in quadratic equation. And that will give you a full tutorial on how to use that formula properly. So anyway, let's get started on this topic. In quadratic simultaneous equations, you'll be given two equations. Most likely, one of them will be a linear equation and the other one will be of a quadratic nature. There will be some squares in it. Now, this usually comes in the maths exam and also the additional mathematics CXC examinations. So here's how to go about solving this. There are many ways to solve a simultaneous equation. Let's just hit a few. Elimination, matrices, substitution. You can use graphs to solve them also. Now, for this video, I would really recommend that you stick with the substitution method. So, first step, you label the equations, equation 1 and equation 2. Now, here's the thing. You have two equations, so you need to choose one of the equations. Here's my advice. Always choose the easier looking one out of the two. Out of these two equations, which one you think looks easier? Clearly, it would be equation 1, right? So I'm just letting you know that if you chose equation 2 first and you use the substitution method, you will get the same exact answer, but the working will be much longer. So let's stick with the basics. I'm going to choose equation 1. Because it's easier looking up the two equations. So I'm going to write back equation 1 here. I'm not going to change anything. It's the same exact equation. We have another choice to make. When we choose the easier looking of the two equations, we either make x the subject or we make y the subject. Now, the truth is, it doesn't matter if you make x the subject or you make y the subject. You are just trying to save time in the exam, so you're going to look for the easiest way to get out this question. If you were to make y the subject, that means you would have to throw across positive 2x to get minus 2x. If you make x the subject, you would have to throw across positive y to get minus y, and then throw across the 2, which is a multiply, to get a divide. That would be more complex. So I would suggest that we make y the subject. So let's do that. Let's throw across positive 2x to get minus 2x. So let's simplify this. Positive y is the same thing as y. So y is equal to 5 minus 2x. This here is equation 3. And equation 3, I always tell my students, this is the most important equation when you're using the substitution method. You get equation 3 wrong, and everything else will be wrong after. So let's analyze what this statement means. Y is equal to 5 minus 2x. This really means wherever I see a y, I have full permission to throw away the y and replace it with 5 minus 2x, because two of them have this, have the same equivalent value. It's like having $1 and 4.25 cents. They may look different, but they have the same value. So if you have $1 in your hand, it's perfectly okay for me to take the dollar and replace it with 4.25 cents. Great. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take equation 3 and go to equation 2, the equation we have not touched as yet. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to write back equation 2, but anywhere we see a y, we're going to throw away the y and replace it with 5 minus 2x. Now be careful. Notice there's a squared over the y here. This squared only belongs to the y. So let's make this substitution. We're going to go to equation 2, right? I'm going to write back equation 2 here. 2x squared plus 2y squared, and I'm going to put equal to 5 here for a reason. I'm going to write the 5 very, very far. So when we reach equation 2, you notice there's a y. I'm going to erase the y, and in brackets, I'm going to replace it with 5 minus 2x. I was going to erase the square, I'll put it back. So I'm going to put 5 minus 2x. But I have to make sure and put this entire thing in brackets. And don't forget to put back the squared. Alright, and this whole thing is equal to 5. Before we move further, I'm going to take my time and explain some mistakes that students commonly make. Right? So let's take our time. I know it's a little bit long, but it's worth the time to go through it. Mistake number 1. Some people will multiply everyone in the brackets by 2 because there's a secret multiply here. And when they get the answer, then they will square it. That is wrong. Also, some people might square everyone in the brackets. So they will say 5 squared is 25, 2x squared is 4x squared. And then they will take the answer and multiply it by 2. That is also wrong. You'll remember what squared means? Squared means you have to take it. Okay, if I say 7 squared, 7 squared means I have to take 7 and multiply it by another 7. If I have 5 minus 2x squared, it really means 5 minus 2x. And we have to take it and multiply it by the next 5 minus 2x. It looks strange, but that is the correct thing to do. And remember, the squared only belongs to the brackets part. So we only multiply that part by itself. So I don't have much space on my board. So what I'm going to do, we're going to try to work out this. I'm going to work it out on this scrap piece of paper here. All right. So let me take my time and write back the same exact thing. There's 2x squared plus 2, open brackets 5 minus 2x by a next 5 minus 2x, and this is equal to 5. Here's what we're going to do. Let's multiply this out first. Let's multiply this pair of brackets out first, simplify it as much as possible, and when we get our simplified answers, then we will multiply all of those answers by 2. So how do you multiply this scenario? 2 brackets next to each other. Simple. I block him. I multiply everyone here by 5. Then I block him. And then I multiply everyone here by minus 2x. And then I simplify all 4 answers. Then I multiply everyone by 2. So let's do that. Let's block him first. And I'll get something to block him. Alright. We are blocking the minus 2x. 5 by 5 is 25. 5 by minus 2x is minus 10x. Block him now. Multiply everyone here by minus 2x. Minus 2x by 5 is minus 10x. And minus 2x by a minus 2x is positive 4x squared. Okay? Right. Let's simplify the middle here. Minus 10x is minus 20x. Don't forget to put down the 25 here, and don't forget to put back the 4x squared here. Now we have just simplified the red area. Now we have this 2 on the outside. We still have to multiply everyone inside here by 2. So we will get 50 minus 40x plus 8x squared. Right? That's this entire piece here has now been simplified. Right. Now, let's get some different colors here. That's this area. We still have to deal with this 2x squared. And this whole thing is still equal. So, sorry about this, but I have to squeeze in the 5 here. But I use a different color. let's add up all the x squareds, all the x's, and everything without an x. So this is clearly a quadratic equation because you see x squared, x, and things without x. And when you're solving a quadratic, you have to make sure this side of the equal sign is equal to 0, which means I would have to eventually throw across the positive 5 to get minus 5. But I'll get to that just now. Let's add up all the x squareds. 8x squared plus 2x squared is 10x squared. Minus 40x, well, he has no friends to combine with, so minus 40x. When I throw across the positive 5, I will get minus 5. 50 minus 5 will give us positive 45. And this is equal to 0, because remember I threw across the positive 5 to get minus 5, leaving this side equal to 0. Right, so when I simplify this whole mess here, I get 10x squared minus 40x plus 45 is equal to 0. All I need to do now is solve this quadratic. In a quadratic, the number touching x squared is a, the number touching x is b, and everyone else is c, the number without an x. So all we have to do is throw this into the formula. Now remember, I told you I would not be showing you how to use the formula, as I already made a full video on it. Now there is, if you have one of the sharp calculators right now, you can, there's a shortcut to solving the simultaneous equations. Solving the quadratic, sorry, once you know the value of a, b, and c. In the exam, it's okay to use the shortcut to check your answers, but you will need to show the examiner that you actually use the formula to get the two answers. So how do you do it? Well, as far as I know, once you have the sharp DAL and once there's a solar panel here, I'm not familiar with the rest of the calculators, all you need to do is press mode 2 and press the 2 again. You will see a question mark. Type in the value of a, 10, equal. Then it will ask you for the value of b. b is negative 40. Press equal. You will see c, 45. Press equal. Your first answer is 2. Press equal again. And then we get, 2. And both answers are 2. So when we solve for x, we get x as 2. 2 and 2. But we only have to write it once. Now, if we only get one answer for x, that means we're going to get one answer for y. So how do you get the value of y? Remember, the aim of a simultaneous equation is to solve for x and to solve for y. So I always tell my students, once you get the value of x, you run back to equation 3, your most important equation. All you have to do is erase x and replace it with the value you just got, which is 2. But make sure and put it in brackets. So we just have to work this out to get the corresponding value of y, which will be very easy. 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. So y is equal to 1. And we're finished with this question. Okay? That's the answer for this quadratic simultaneous. We usually get 2 answers for x, which means we're going to get 2 answers for y. But in today's question, when we solve for x, when we solve the quadratic, we got 2 answers for x. It just so happened that the 2 answers were the same. So we consider it to be one answer. All right, let's try another question. Let's try a harder one. I found this one was a little too easy. Right? This could come in a normal maths exam. I wouldn't expect something this easy to come in your additional mathematics exam. Let's try the next one here. Remember, on YouTube, you can press, I think, L as the shortcut key to skip 10 seconds. So you won't have to view all this boring parts that I'm doing here. All right, let's try another question. Question 2. All right, there's part 2 here. So I want to edit in the video, I remember. All right, let's try 2x is equal to 1 minus 3y. And then we have 3y squared minus x squared is equal to 2. Once again, we have two equations. I'm going to label the first one equation 1 and the second one equation 2. All right, which one of these equations looks simpler? Equation 1. So guess what? We're going to choose equation 1. So I'm going to choose equation 1. 2x is equal to 1 minus 3y. Now, we have a choice. Either make x the subject or either make y the subject. Now, it's clearly easier to make x the subject for two reasons. Only two x's on this side, so all we have to do is throw across the 2, which is a multiply, to get a divide. And whenever you divide by 2, you get a really nice numbers. You get either a whole number or you get 0.5, something with a 0.5. If we were to make y the subject, we'll have to throw across the positive 1 to get minus 1, then divide everyone by minus 3. From experience, when you divide by these numbers, usually 3, 6, 7, and 9, when you divide by these numbers, you usually get horrible decimals. Avoid dividing by those numbers unless you have no choice, okay? But today we have a choice, and I suggest that we divide by the 2, right? Divide by the 2. The 2 is a multiply. I'm going to throw him across to get a divide. Now, this just simply means everybody on top gets divided by 2. So it will look like this. Right? Let's clear some space here. So we'll get x is equal to 1 divided by 2 is 0.5 minus 3y divided by 2 is minus 1.5y. And this will be my equation 3, my most important equation. So what we're going to do now, you notice we made x the subject this time. So we're going to go to equation 2, the one we did not use as yet, and we're going to throw away x and replace any x we see with 0.5 minus 1.5y in brackets. I know in all my videos I keep stressing on that when you replace something, you need to put it in brackets. Alright, so I'm going to do the working on this scrap piece of paper because I only have a little bit of space on this whiteboard. So I have 3y squared minus, I will make the substitution here just now. Right, minus x. Here's something very important to note. If I have x by itself, what number do I have automatically touching it? Won't it be 1? So if I have minus x, the number touching it would be minus 1, which means we need to pretend there's a minus 1. Let's physically write in the 1. This squared only belongs to the x. So we're going to work out x squared first, simplify it, and then multiply everyone by minus 1. This is a very common trick used in the exam. So we have an x here. We're going to throw away that x, but I'm going to put the minus 1 so we don't forget it. And this will be x squared. Remember, x squared means this multiplied by itself. So it would be 0.5 minus 1.5y, close brackets, multiply by another 0.5 minus 1.5y. Alright? So we're going to multiply the orange and green brackets first, simplify it to the best of our ability, then multiply everyone by minus 1. Alright, so let's get started. Remember how we would do it? We would block him, multiply both of them by 0.5, then block him and multiply both of them by minus 1.5y. So I think I'm going to need my calculator for this. Let's do some blocking. Oh, I need something to block. Oh, right, let's block him off. Alright, we're not paying attention to it. Remember, I'm not dealing with the minus 1 at this point in time. 0.5 multiplied by 0.5 is 0.25. Minus 1.5y by 0.5. 1.5 multiplied by 0.5 is minus 0.75y. Let's block him now. Well, minus 1.5y multiplied by 0.5 is minus 0.5y again. And minus 1.5 minus multiplied by next minus 1.5y. Alright. So now that we over here we have minus 1.5 multiplied by a next minus 1.5, you will get positive 2.25, but y by y is y squared. A lot of students would forget that y squared. So here's what we're going to do now. These two middle items, we could squeeze them together because he has a y and he has a y. So minus 1.75y minus a next 0.75y minus a next 0.75y is 1 minus 1.5y. And we still have this 0.25 here and this positive 2.25y squared. Right. We only worked out the orange and green brackets. We still have to multiply this simplified answer by minus 1 on the outside. Well, multiplying by minus 1 is not going to be a problem. It's really, really easy to multiply by, well, minus 1. Minus 1 by 0.25 is minus 0.25. Minus 1 by minus 1.5 is positive 1.5y. And minus 1 by positive 2.25 will give me negative 2.25. And don't forget that y squared. Alright. So, I'll run out of space here. That's this part alone. We still have the 3y squared here is equal to, and we have a 2 here. All right, so let's clear up. I guess we can use here now. What we have to do now, this is clearly a quadratic, so we have to throw everybody on the same side and add up all the y squareds, y's, and everything without y's. So I'm just going to simplify this here. Let's see. Make some space here. Right. 3y squared, that's this guy, minus 0.25 plus 1.5y minus 2.25y squared. Throw across the positive 2 to get a negative 2 to make the whole equation equal to 0. Right, I can remove this paper now. Let's add up all the y squared, all the y's and everything without y. Y squared, y squared. He has y's. These two guys do not even have y's attached to them. So let's add up all these similar items. 3y squared minus 2.25 is 0.75y squared. Minus, the y here has no friends to combine with, so he's just 1.5y. Minus 0.25 minus 2 is minus 2.25. You can double check it on your calculator. Here we have a quadratic. We have a y squared, a y, and something without a y. All we need to do now is identify a, b, and c and throw it into the formula, and that will give us 2 answers for y. So the number touching y squared is a, the number touching y is b, and everything without a y is c. So remember, I'm not going to show you how to actually use the formula, but I will use the shortcut method on the calculator. Press mode 22. A is 0.75, press equal. B is 1.5, press equal. C is minus 2.25, press equal. My first answer for x is 1. My second answer for x is minus 3. So today, well, in this question, I got 2 answers for x. Sorry, this is y. I was solving for y because my quadratic has y. So I got 2 answers for y. So if I get 2 answers for y, then I'm supposed to get 2 answers for x. So what we have to do is run back to equation 3, and we have to replace y with 1, and then work this out. That will give us our first answer for x. Then replace y with minus 3 afterwards, and that will give us our second value. So let's see if we can work this out here. Let's move to the side here, some space here. X is equal to 0.5 minus 1.5y, and I'm going to write it here again. X is equal to 0.5 minus 1.5y. I'm going to replace y with 1, and I'm going to replace y with minus 3. I'm going to work this one out. That will give me my first value for x. I'm going to work this out. That will give me my second value for x. I can work it out straight on my calculator. 0.5 minus 1.5 multiplied by, there's a secret multiply here, open brackets, 1. My first value for x is minus 1. 0.5 minus 1.5 multiplied by open brackets, negative 3 close brackets. My second value for x is 5. So when y is 1, x at the same point in time is minus 1. And when y is minus 3, x is 5. All right. Let's hope that was correct. I'm just double checking my answers. Minus 3y. No, when y is 1, when x is 10. Right, everything is correct. I was just double checking my answers. All right, so that was my second question on solving a quadratic simultaneous. Let's try a third one. All right. Right, remember you can press L, I believe, to fast forward 10 seconds on YouTube. All right, let's try our third question. Just checking the time here. Oh my, forgot to take off the light. All right. All right. So sorry about the glare in the corner there. I forgot to take off the light. All right. So next question. Question 3. This one is going to be a hard one. You can sense it. 3 on y plus 2 on x is equal to 13. That's equation 1. And equation 2 is 2x plus 3y is equal to 2. You notice in the first equation, the x and y are underneath. They are denominators this time. All right, so let's see how we approach a question like this. I'm going to call this equation equation 1. This one is going to be equation 2. First of all, I am really not comfortable with how equation 1 looks. That can be pretty intimidating. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull equation 1 aside, and I'm going to try my best to simplify him. Make it look a little better. So I have 3y plus 2 over x is equal to 13. I don't like how that y and x is underneath. So I'm not too sure if you're familiar with this concept. You are allowed to do anything. When you have an equation, you can do anything to one side, anything in the world. Just make sure and also do it to the other side. So anytime I have denominators I do not like, I usually multiply every one by the LCM. How much is the LCM of y and x? The LCM of y and x is just yx. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to visit everybody on this side and multiply the top by yx. Multiply this top by yx, which means I have to multiply the 13 by yx also. Whenever we do this, you will notice that the denominators would automatically change to 1, and anything divided by 1 is itself. So the y will cancel out with this y, this x will cancel out with this x, and well, this is y multiplied by x. Anything divided by 1 is itself. So on top we get 3 and we are left with x plus 2 multiplied by y, which is 2y, and we have 13yx. This equation and this equation is the same. except we modified this one to look a little bit better. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to erase this equation 1 and replace it with this. It looks a little more pleasing to the eye and a little easier to deal with. All right, so this is our new scenario now. So we have two equations. Which one of these equations looks easier to deal with? Today, it looks like equation 2. Equation 2 looks a little bit easier to deal with. So instead of choosing equation 1, we are going to choose equation 2 today. I'm going to write back equation 2. I'm not going to change a thing. What we have to do now is either make x the subject or make y the subject. If we make y the subject, we will end up dividing by 3. I really don't like dividing by 3, so I'm going to make who the subject instead? X. So we are going to make x the subject because we will end up dividing by 2. So I'm going to clear a little space here. Use a different color. Throw across positive 3y, we'll get minus 3y. Then we divide by 2. So x will be equal to 2 minus 3y, and everyone will get divided by 2. This means both of them at the same time get divided by 2. So if we simplify this scenario, we will get 2 divided by 2 is 1, minus 3y divided by 2 is minus 1.5y. So my new equation 3 is x is equal to 1 minus 1.5y. This is my equation 3. And let's make it look noticeable. So what we are going to do now is go to the equation we did not use as yet, and wherever we see an x, like this one here, we are going to throw it away and replace it with 1 minus 1.5y. And there's another x to replace. So there's 2 x's to replace. Right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my scrap paper, because this is going to be long and messy. All right. Here, I'm going to write back this equation here, so it's right in front of me. 3x plus 2y is equal to 13yx. Right. So we have a 3 here. We have to throw away that x and replace it in brackets with 1 minus 1.5y plus 2y is equal to 13y, and we have to replace this x also with 1 minus 1.5y. So I'm going to multiply everyone inside here by 3, then I'm going to multiply everyone inside here by 13y. Let's get a different color here. I need my calculator also. 3 by 1 is 3 minus 3 by 1.5. You will get minus 4.5y. All right. So now that we have multiplied out this brackets by 3, we put back the 2y. But now we have to multiply everyone in the blue brackets by 13y. Now remember, when you multiply by a y by a next y, you will get y squared. So 13y by 1 is just obviously 13y. 13 by 1.5, I cannot do that in my head. You will get 19.5. And don't forget to put back the minus sign. But y by y, like I just said, is y squared. All right. So here's what we're going to do now. I think we should throw everybody on the same side because this looks like a quadratic equation. So the 13, throw across the positive 13y, you'll get minus 13y. Throw across the minus 19.5, you'll get positive 19.5y squared. So we have 13 minus 4.5y plus 2y. Throw across positive 13y minus 13y. Minus 19.5 is positive 19.5y squared. And this whole thing is equal to 0 now. So I think we should add up all the y squareds, all the y's, and everything without y. In other words, group the similar items. 19.5 y squared. We can do this here one time. So we have 19.5 y squared. We have three sets of y's here. 1, 2, 3. I'll double underline them so you can see the clear difference from the y squareds. So we have minus 4.5 plus 2 minus 13y, and we get minus 15.5y. And then the 3, he's the only odd one without a letter. So this here is a quadratic equation. We have y squared, y, and something without a y. So I'm going to move this scrapbooking aside. Right. Number touching y squared is a. Number touching y is b. And the 3 is c. Throw it into the quadratic equation. I'm going to use the shortcut on the calculator. We are solving for y, so we are supposed to get two values for y. Let's see this. Mode 2, 2. A is 19.5, press equal. B is negative 15.5, press equal. And C is 3. I got 0.46 and 0.33 reoccurring. So this was really wanted. All right. So I'm just double checking my working to make sure everything was good here. Nope, I don't see any mistakes. All right, so we got two answers for y. Now we need to get two answers for x. So when we get our first answers, we have to run back to which equation again, guys? Equation 3. Replace y with 0.64 and then replace y with 1/3. All right. Let me see if I get a marker, a really good marker here. All right. So x is equal to 1 minus 1.5y. And x again is equal to 1 minus 1.5y. 1 second. Erase this y, replace it with 0.46. Erase this y and replace it with 0.46. Work this out straight on our calculator. 1 minus 1.5 multiplied by open brackets 0.46 close brackets. So my first answer for x is 0.31, and my next answer now, 1 minus 1.5 multiplied by open brackets 0.46. I mean, sorry, this is supposed to be 0.33. Making a lot of mistakes today. And I got x is equal to really close to 0.5, right? If we had used the 1/3, we would have gotten exactly 0.5. So, I'm not too sure if you all know how to check your answers if they are correct. I'm just going to do a check. I'm going to show you how to check your answers. Here, when y is 0.46, we get x as 0.31. And when y is 1/3, remember I rounded this off, this is really supposed to be 1/3. X is supposed to be 0.5. So here's what you can do. Choose any one of the equations. I'm going to choose equation 2 because it looks simpler and easier to deal with. I am going to replace y with 1/3 and x with 0.5, and if I work it out, I'm supposed to get back 2. Erase x. Replace it with 0.5. Replace y with 1/3. 2 by 0.5 is 1. 1/3 of 3 is 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. So that's how you can do a test to see to know if you are actually correct in the exam. Alright guys, so that was 3 questions on how to solve a quadratic simultaneous equation where one of the equations is at least linear. Alright guys, so stay tuned to my next video. I'm not too sure what I'll be doing. All I know is it's going to be related to quadratics somehow. Take care guys.